everybody, I'm Jenica and let's reset for December. So first thing I gotta say, and if you're watching other December resets, you'll probably hear this all the time, but I cannot believe it is the last month of the year. 2024 went by so fast, I feel like. Time just went by so fast. Anyways, let's go into our November goals and recap on those. So our first goal is track hunger when eating, and I've been struggling with this goal. I've had it on my resets for like maybe 6 months now. Previously, it would be don't eat when not hungry, and I feel like that was way too vague of a goal. But this month, or November, I try to make this more of a SMART goal, something that is a little bit more task oriented so that it's not debatable. So I did track hunger when eating and only eat when hunger is below 4 and only eat to 6, 7, whatever. And I'm using the intuitive eating hunger scale. Yeah, I didn't do that. For December, we're gonna fix our eating goal because I do want to kind of focus more on my health and nutrition. So we're gonna try to change that goal because I did not hit it and I haven't hit it for the past 6 months. So it's a goal that doesn't work for me and it's just not right for my lifestyle, I suppose. So when we get into December goals, you'll see what that is. Okay, so stick to training, only miss 3 a month. I don't think I missed a training this month. I did switch between a few training plans this month, so there might have been a missed couple trainings, but I will say that I've really created a good routine for myself to run, even on days where I'm like, oh, I didn't run in the morning, I don't want to run later, let's not run today. If I happen to find some time where I just have about 45 minutes free, I will run, even though I choose not to in the first place. So I think I've really created a good habit and routine for myself to get to run. So yeah, I will say that we did this. Those were the only November goals I had. I was keeping it really simple, trying to focus on that eating goal and only stick to that, but apparently it just doesn't work. So let's go into our December goals. So we have a health and personal goal. Our first one is go to the gym 1 time a week. I am trying to get back into the gym. I've been really focused on kind of running and cardio type of training. So trying to get back into the gym and kind of, build those muscles, good for the bone health. And yeah, and we'll keep it really simple for now and do 1 time a week and nothing more. I mean, we can do more if I want to, but only go to the gym 1 time a week to get back into the routine and kind of getting back into that habit. All right, and then another health and personal goal. So we're going back to the food thing, but none of that tracking hunger. My goal for this eating or nutrition is 1 day per week, I will only eat whole foods. And that's it. That's the goal. I'm trying to, kind of similar to the gym thing, is just try to get into the groove slowly. And hopefully the more I do it, the more it just becomes kind of second nature to go towards more whole foods. I'm not saying I'm going to go on a strict diet of whole foods or go on Whole30 or go on the paleo diet. I'm not really trying to do that. But the reason why I'm doing this, as I've mentioned, is trying to get back into that habit and hopefully build a good routine to at least make wiser decisions throughout the day, all the time. So those are the health and personal goals. And we haven't really had any finance goals for a couple months now because I feel like my finance goals, I don't want to say automated because I still do it myself manually, but it's at a place where I don't have to do too much work and it kind of just goes where it needs to go. But you guys will see this later. I went crazy on the spending on November. So our finance goal is a low spend month. We're going to try to spend no money in a lot of categories. So here's my rules for a low spend. No buy, low buy. Other than the necessities such as bills, groceries, other than things that are completely necessary, I will allow myself to buy. Other things I can buy are replacement products. So skincare, feminine care, hygiene things, I can buy only to replace a previous one. Because I do have a back stock of like certain products as well that I would like to get through, especially sunscreen. So unless I actually don't have that product anymore, I won't buy anything. I can buy Christmas gifts. It's December when you see this. I will be needing to buy some Christmas gifts, so I will allow myself that. I have a budget and I will stay to that budget, but I'm allowed to spend whatever as long as it's within the budget. Another thing I'm allowed to spend on is social spending. So whether that's going out to eat, having some drinks, paying for an entrance at like bowling or something, I'm allowing myself spending on this because just being upfront with everybody, I don't go out that often. So if I'm ever going out with a friend, it's rare. I don't do it very often. So I don't want to limit myself in the social category. It's something I never spend on. It's not a problem area. So it's not going to be cut for this month or for this low spend. And then part of my issue, something I bought this month or last month, November, I bought an iPad mini. When I have an iPad Air, I bought it used, and I bought the older generation, the 6th instead of the 7th. I don't really need the latest and greatest, but I bought an iPad mini, and if I like it, I will sell my iPad Air. So the reason why I did this is because I noticed I don't use my iPad Air often. The only time I reach for my iPad Air is when I want to create my thumbnails, but I used to love my iPad and like use it all the time. And I think it's just kind of the size of it. It's just too awkward to hold. So I should make back most of the money I spent, if not all of it, on the iPad mini when I sell my iPad Air. But I brought all of that up just to say that I'm allowed to buy some iPad mini accessories for my iPad mini if I choose to keep it and not return it. And that is because I want a case. I don't want to break it. And I want a screen protector. Just those things. Those are the only two things I'm allowed to buy for my iPad mini. Case and screen protector. And I think that's all I'm allowed to spend on because I've bought way too many clothes that were kind of expensive this month. And I spent so much on random shit. You'll see upcoming now. We're going to do our budget recap and then go into our December budget. But I spent way too much money on that. So let's get into that. All right, now here we are for our budget recap for November. And yeah, you see some red there, and let's get into it. But yeah, let's just start with the expenses as well. Groceries, I barely spent any groceries. Glad to stay within budget. I haven't been buying too many groceries, but I'm going to continue. We didn't spend anything in gas and no other transportation related spending, so that's good. Dining out, we spent most of it, and we have 50 cents left. Personal, we budgeted $75 and we spent $355 and 65 cents. So we are over budget by $280.65. Most of this is clothes though, because it started raining in the city and I don't really have any rain clothes. I'm getting tired of my work outfits. They're all the same. I have a work capsule wardrobe basically. And I think it just needs a little more to it. Okay, and then miscellaneous. We said we're gonna spend $350. We spent $1,000 and we're over by $731. So to be fair, about 300 of that I'm gonna make back because I'm either, like I talked about it previously, I'm either going to return the iPad mini or sell my iPad Air for what I bought the iPad mini for. We still did spend a lot. There were other things. Oh yeah, I redid my desk. I don't know why I did that. Like honestly, I was just in a mood, so I just decided to redo my desk and got a whole new monitor. So I wasn't making the best financial decisions, so that's why we're going on a no spend in December. Okay, saving up. I used everything that I budgeted and spent it on other things that is not for saving up. So we're gonna have to start new. All my bills, subscriptions, and memberships, they're all just paid. I'm starting to use YouTube Premium, which comes with YouTube Music, so I'm gonna have to pay that. I think it's $140 a year, or $139.99. I will need to budget that for next month. And all my sinking funds and savings. We bought some gifts here, other gifts here. Social spending? Oh, some Ubers. These were Ubers specifically for dates, so I put that under social. What did I spend on one? Oh, I see. So under social, I used to pay for a 5K. What else I spend? $9.99 off of my emergency fund. That's fine. I'm not really spending it. For one of my credit cards, we get free Uber One, I think is what it is. It charges my credit card $9.99, but I get credited that $9.99 back. So once I get the money in, I will put it back. And then we did our Roth IRA for $583 this month. Cool. So that's everything I spent. We didn't do great this month, but we will do great next month. All right, here we are. So This is what our paychecks are looking like. So we have about 4,000 left to budget. So let's do that. Start actually with our groceries. I feel like we'll have a rollover. So as of right now, I'm only gonna put in 150. And then once the rollover comes, I'll put it in here. Gas, we have that 50 from last month for gas equals that. Let's just do another 25 just in case. Maybe we will BART somewhere out of pocket or need gas. Dining out. I spent the whole 150 last month. Let's just do the 150. It seemed like it worked out. Personal. What do I need to actually restock on? Let's just do 50 just in case. Then miscellaneous. Let's do 50 for all that iPad stuff. And then I know we're doing a no spend, no buy on anything, but let's just do 50 just in case. We'll go back to the saving up for a camera later. So for our goal amounts for all of our saving and sinking funds, we have these gifts, social, car registration plus smog, and YNAB. We will just do those amounts. Car repair is fine, health is fine. Yeah, we can do 1,000 for our emergency fund. We will do the Bali ticket as well. I'm actually not gonna do this Marriott credit card annual fee. I'm gonna end that credit card. Roth IRA, we'll just do our amount. And then some of these numbers are wrong actually. All right, I just came back real quick. I had to fix some of the formulas. They were wrong. This should be the more accurate rolling amount. Now we have $1,302 left and 75 cents, which is a lot. So let's put some towards saving up. The saving up is for a camera. If I ever get monetized, I will reward myself and celebrate with buying a camera. So let's put, I'm just trying to think about how much longer it might take. I don't want to put too much towards it if it's actually not going to happen for another year, but I also want to put enough to where I'm like, oh, if it happens, I can buy it right away. So let's do this amount. Let's do 400. All right. So now we have 902.75 to split between these three, and they get split out by whatever's left. 30% of that goes into here, 40% goes into move out, and then 30% into wedding. I explained this last time, but I'll explain it again. Moving out and wedding and car, none of that is actually happening at a set date. No one's even engaged, but I do like to follow Ramit Sethi, is that his name? His kind of advice on if you know something's gonna happen eventually, like you might as well start saving up for it, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's like $20 a day or $20 a paycheck or $20 a month. I know these things are coming up at some point, so I'm saving up for them. This is just for financial stability. So let us do our math for this. 902.75, and then 30% of that is 270.82. We'll do the same amount for here, 270.82. And then the rest, 361.11, will go into here. If you want to know more about all of this budget, I will link a video in the cards or somewhere down below where I talk about it a little more in depth, but that's basically our budget for December. So that was the budget for December. Now let's get into everything that I've read in November, and it was a reading month for me. I think this is the most I've read all year. And I'm not going to go in any particular order. So one of the books I finished this month was The Aspect of Essence. It's a Kindle Unlimited book, and it's basically ACOTAR, TOG, Fourth Wing-ish, kind of all mixed together. And that's basically the summary of this book, or this blurb. It basically says if you're a fan of all these like really famous mainstream book series, you'll like this. So I read it because I was trying to stay on not buying any books and only reading Kindle Unlimited or Libby. So this was one of the ones that I chose to read. And here they have elves, and one of the half-blooded elves, who's a princess, gets conscripted into war, and you kind of follow this journey and everything that goes along with that. There's some love interests, there's a best friend, there's a weird wraith thing, and there's war upon them, basically. And without getting into too much more, that's kind of what the book's about. But what I would say is that it was a decent book. I would say it was kind of slow. And I know it's romance. I just didn't know who the love interest was for like half the time. And it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was fine for what it is. But my biggest issue is that with most of the fantasy books that I've read, or sci-fi books, things that are a series and is ongoing, each book would have its own kind of portion, right? Like its own conflict that gets resolved within that book. I didn't feel like this first book had its own conflict. Like for example, in Throne of Glass, the whole thing of the book was her trying to win this battle or this competition to become the champion. And you can explain that. Like it's one thing. But I can't tell you what that one thing is in this book. But it was fine for what it is. I was really craving a fantasy book at the time. I didn't want to buy anything, and it did what it needed to do. And yeah, I'll give it like a 3 stars. All right, then I decided I will buy some books. And I bought the whole series of Throne of Glass. So I read Throne of Glass. I think I read that in October. So I'm not going to talk about it here. And then I read Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel, but could be read kind of almost anywhere. Yeah, I liked it, and it was really nice to get to see what our FMC went through before she went through the other things that she goes through in Throne of Glass, and kind of seeing everything that led her up to that point. And it was really sad that everything that has gone on with her. I'm not saying it was bad, because it wasn't. It was pretty good, but it also wasn't great either. So that's all I can really say about that. I give it a 3 stars. Let's just continue on with Throne of Glass. Okay, so then we read the second book, Crown of Midnight. Okay, this one started picking up. Everything is going crazy. Shit is hitting the fan. And I really like this book. I couldn't put it down. It might be my favorite one, honestly, because I have the omnibus or the book version that has them all connected. They're all like one big story to me. But I do think Crown of Midnight was my favorite one. I think this one was my favorite in terms of emotionally, just because like our FMC goes through so much in this book, and I give it a 4 out of 5. And then we go into Heir of Fire, which is the next one in Throne of Glass series. Getting to see our FMC come into herself and be at her full strength is crazy. I give this one a 3.5 out of 5. I'll round up to 4. Not as good as Crown of Midnight, but still really good. Queen of Shadow is actually the craziest book so far in terms of action, seeing everything that's going on in this world. There's multiple points of views, so many different things happening, and it's really, really good. And it's the craziest so far in terms of actual action. I couldn't put this book down. I said that for, I think, one of the other books, but this one I actually couldn't put down. I think there was one night where I literally stayed up until like 4 a.m. on a work night to read. But I think the one thing is there are many points of views, and some of them seem unrelated. And of course, you know, they're not, because at the end they're somehow going to come together. But I just feel like there would have been a more crazy connection to all these point of views. But it wasn't that crazy, really. But that's just a nitpick. I really like this book. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And those are all the Throne of Glass books I've read this month. And this month I also finished A Court of Wings and Ruin from the ACOTAR series. And I will say, I think this is my favorite ACOTAR book of all the ACOTAR books so far. I haven't finished the rest, obviously, but so far I think this is my favorite. I know a lot of people like A Court of Mist and Fury, and in terms of romance, that is my favorite. But in terms of actual, like, the fantasy and the world, I think A Court of Wings and Ruins is way better. They have their strengths, but yes, this one was my favorite so far. I think this is the only fantasy book that has actually ever made me cry. Yeah, I don't usually get too attached to any of the characters or too attached to the world, and that I get emotional when people die, and that's like for almost any book. Fourth Wing, if you know, you know. I didn't cry. Not that it's not sad and that I don't feel like the loss in the book, but it's just like, whatever. But here, I definitely did cry. So I give that a 4 out of 5. So that is everything I read this month. And that's basically our whole December reset. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye!